The End War. The influence of the Order of Nine was astounding. Each had ties to the strongest armies in the cosmos and coordinated efforts to keep them distracted while their plan was underway. Bylon even rallied the living weapons to aid in gathering the energy of the vortex, telling them it was for a different reason. Darkstar made sure the Realm Lords remained unaware of the fluctuations in the vortex's energy. The plan would have never been discovered if not for the efforts of Darkfire and Dacheldor. Putting full trust in his head general's hunches, Darkfire gave Dacheldor an army to invade the faction of the Order in Chaos. When he arrived, the Nine were not present, and the Empire's forces had decimated the people left guarding the faction. Dacheldor discovered the portal to the Soulstream and enough evidence to prove Lexeldor and the others were behind major distractions throughout the cosmos. He planned to leave with that information alone, but a member of the faction returned from the field before he did. The sounds of his soldiers' screams filled the halls, as a being of inconceivable darkness tore through them, then finally took shape in front of him. It was Ellie. Ellie could have fought Dacheldor or tried to shut him up, but she had something more entertaining in mind. She knew she should not reveal the hidden truth to him, but it was too exciting to see how he would react. She informed Dacheldor that she knew the truth of who he was, and of how he had been manipulated his whole life. Dacheldor did not believe her as she described Lexeldor's true past, and the forming of a clone to relive his life. He had always felt the weight of manipulation, but to be a clone living out another man's history was too crazy to accept. Ellie asked him to reach out with his mind and try to link to Lexeldor. She knew that, though Lexeldor had blocked his mind, he was just like the other disciples. If he chose to link to Lexeldor, the unification would happen instantly. Dacheldor tested this, and for a moment he joined minds with Lexeldor. He saw the truth of what he was and how he had been handled. He saw how all of his life had been a lie. He saw what Lexeldor was planning to do. He instinctually pulled back, removing his link to Lexeldor and returning to normal, but the damage was done. He now knew he was a clone. All of his choices in life had been predetermined. He was nothing. Ellie laughed as Dacheldor dropped to his knees in utter horror. Even the mighty immortal was helpless in the face of this realization. She left him in this state as she slaughtered the rest of the men, and then returned to her duties outside the faction halls. Dacheldor returned to Castle Darkfire a broken man. He informed Darkfire of the truth and of Lexeldor's plans, but would not aid in the fighting. He locked himself in one of the towers of Castle Darkfire and completely shut out everyone. Darkfire rushed with a full army to the Immortal House, where he opened communications with all the realms. He relayed the message that a group called the Order of Nine was attempting to destroy the cosmos, and their leader was Lexeldor. He also implicated Bylon and Prime, but they were the only other members he was sure of. Any influence the Order of Nine had over the deities, mage lords, and realm lords was lost. They turned their attention to the Prime Realm and engaged the living weapons at the Vortex in combat. A massive war erupted, in which the Order of Nine was forced to directly intervene, revealing themselves as Illithal. While everyone else focused on the fighting at the Vortex, Darkfire took his armies to the faction of the Order in Chaos to destroy their portal to the Soulstream. When they arrived, they found Lexeldor and Prime waiting for them. Long black tentacles stretched from their backs as they no longer felt the need to hide their true natures. Lexeldor hacked through the Limbo Imperial soldiers with massive cleaver-like swords. Electricity erupted around him, throwing waves of attackers through stone walls. He had to completely let go of his attachment to the Empire, and to anything else in this cosmos. Everything would end soon anyway. Prime slashed through lines of enemies, causing blood to spray out of them. As it did, he transmuted the blood into acidic and explosive compounds that covered and blasted the nearby allies of the soldiers, in some cases blowing them to bits and repeating the process. Darkfire had never seen such a bloodbath. In the midst of the fighting, Bylon arrived and agreed to hold back the forces of the Empire for Lexeldor and Prime. The two entered the portal to the Soulstream, and Bylon stood watch. His axe tore asunder any who tried to get near the portal. Darkfire walked up to Bylon and demanded he let them by. He knew Bylon was his brother's teacher. He assured Bylon that Benji would not follow a madman. Bylon informed Darkfire that Benji was already aware of the truth Darkfire was not. It was a truth like the one Dacheldor had recently learned. He, Benji, and Dacheldor were all clones. As Bylon explained all of what happened, Darkfire stepped back among his armies and felt himself become dizzy. He understood the weight of what Dacheldor was going through. He recognized he was not sure what side of this war he should be on. A voice called to Darkfire from the entryway, demanding he snap out of it. Darkfire and the others looked to see Dacheldor, who had finally emerged from his solitude. He had decided though he did not have control over who he had been, he had control over who he would become. He was planning to stop Lexeldor. This was enough for Darkfire. He ordered his soldiers to charge Bylon all at once. Though they could not get past him, they kept him too busy to keep Dacheldor from entering the portal. A moment later, Dacheldor was in the Soulstream, witnessing Lexeldor and Prime's final act. The energy of the Vortex and Soulstream coursed through Lexeldor. Prime grabbed Lexeldor's left arm and gave it a firm tug. It tore away from his body completely, and Prime cradled it in his arms. He then disappeared from sight, leaving only Lexeldor to behold. Lexeldor's left arm grew back, but this one was his own. He was finally rid of Tezencrul. He was finally whole again. Dacheldor called out to him, drawing the demon edge. Lexeldor laughed. He knew all of Dacheldor's thoughts. He saw what a monster Dacheldor saw him as. He felt it was fitting to spend his final moments in this cosmos battling himself. Dacheldor charged at Lexeldor. Lexeldor drew his two massive blades. The two clashed in an epic duel, but Lexeldor was impossible for Dacheldor to hit. The energy of the vortex and soul stream inside of Lexeldor clashed, threatening to explode forth and destroy the cosmos. Lexeldor used all his might to keep this from happening. He had to afford Prime enough time to pull his and Uzulkri's energy out of the cosmos and replace it with Tezenkrul's. He could not let the cosmos be destroyed until that happened. Prime worked unseen to do that exact thing, using the soul stream as the perfect place to perform the operation. He drew out his power and Uzulkri's, and felt the very cosmos quake. He then allowed the arm to evaporate and its energy to fill the cosmos. As it did, everything stabilized again. Tezenkrul became the cosmos. It became him. And in so doing, the chain of Illithul becoming their own cosmoses was restored. Prime and Lexeldor both felt a rush of relief from the source itself. No matter what happened beyond this day, the will of the source had been completed. From now on, all Illithul would once again become the various cosmoses that make up reality, and the newest of those Illithul would have the added benefit of being able to simultaneously live in a host body. Lexeldor bested Dacheldor, knocking him away. Prime appeared and informed him of what he already knew. It was done. Dacheldor could sense the thoughts of the two, though he did not dare link to Lexeldor directly. He saw what was going to happen and what had happened. He saw a solution in his mind. Currently, the cosmos was restored, and, if the energy inside Lexeldor could be held off permanently, the cosmos could go on as it should have all along. Everything Lexeldor and Prime had accomplished so far was in the best interests of everyone. It was only this last moment, the destruction of the cosmos, that needed to be stopped. Dacheldor pulled an item from his back that he had brought as a last resort, the Lance of Souls. He charged Lexeldor, aiming for his heart. He pushed everything he had into the attack, hoping to get one solid hit. Lexeldor saw Dacheldor coming. He felt Dacheldor's thoughts as if they were his own. He saw what he was planning to do. Prime felt Lexeldor's intention. He did not intercede. The lance struck Lexeldor's heart. A substance covered and transformed Lexeldor's body, making him appear as a statue. As it did, his body froze, his mind froze, his soul froze. The energy about to lash out and destroy the cosmos froze. In the center of the soul stream stood a statue, the being Lexeldor, frozen for all time until the soul stream's energy finally ran out. And, on that day, when the cosmos has reached the oldest it can be, and Tezenkrul's energy has created new Illithul offspring of his own, the statue will unfreeze and Lexeldor will be freed. An instant later, his energy will spill out and destroy everything. Prime was stunned by what had unfolded. He patted Dacheldor on the shoulder and said,
I should have known there would be a third answer. There always is.
Dacheldor questioned if the remaining members of the Order of Nine would continue to strive to destroy the cosmos, but Prime informed him they would not. They had achieved their goal, and, when the cosmos ended, they would become what they were meant to become. It did not matter to them when that happened. He also promised that they would not try to free Lexeldor. In the last moment, when Dacheldor's plan fully formed, Lexeldor had understood it and seen the previously unrealized option. A way to preserve the cosmos until its true end. He had chosen to allow the strike to land. He had chosen to be frozen as a statue. Prime would not let the others undo his decision. Prime then escorted Dacheldor out of the Soul Stream, where they informed Bylon and Darkfire of what had happened. The fighting ended. The Empire returned to Castle Darkfire to rebuild. The Order of Nine disappeared, seemingly never heard of again. The faction of the Order in Chaos fell. All of Lexeldor's disciples lost their connection to him and to each other. That night, Nexus would write the last entry he ever would about Lexeldor. He knew more than anyone else that Lexeldor was truly frozen. From Lexeldor's point of view, it would seem as if he would be stabbed by the Lance of Souls one moment and then immediately wake up at the dawn of the end of the cosmos to destroy it. Dacheldor, on the other hand, had many years ahead. Lexeldor's plan no longer guided him. He was his own individual now, and he was seen by those who knew what happened as the savior of the cosmos.